Welcome back, the Awaken Men. Once again, here we are, Daniel, Mario, talking with no agenda, no scripts, no nothing. Well, and no voice, obviously, from Daniel.
Yeah, I just trying to mess with people.
Oh man, what a week! It's like man, the I've been going through some intense emotional stuff and working with Daniel. It's like he helped me move through what we call the inner child, right?
Yeah,
Holding on.
we're probably in the age of the inner child healing. I think it's going to be necessary. People aren't going to be able to function unless they do it.
You know, the first time I heard about the inner child, I really didn't understand what it is. So uh, I know what it is now, and I want you, Daniel, since you helped me out with moving through that, explain a little bit what the inner child is. You know, so people out there that are like me that are going, "What in the world is an inner child?"
Yeah, so to me, the inner child's the part of ourselves. I would say they're like aspects of your body or places in your body where, so if you're a child and you went through something like say your parents yelled at you, like your dad yelled at you, and it was traumatic to you, you'd store it. Like, you'd be like, I can't deal with this right now, all this pain. And then later in life, say when you're 30, then it comes back out to be felt. Almost like you save that level in a video game and then you were going to play it later, um, just to feel those emotions. And the inner child is just a metaphor of what's inside of you,
Mhm.
in your cells and your memories, that we have to deal with those emotions or we're going to project out and run these unconscious patterns. And to me, right now in this current time, if you don't do the inner child healing, you're not going to be able to be successful, like in life. Like life is going to force you to do it because it's therapy is mainstream even in the non-spiritual realms. Like inner
Mhm.
child work is now pretty standard. So yeah, you have to do it, and
Yeah,
it's not
no, yeah, and it was interesting for me because the inner child, what it was for me, it actually showed me the parts that I didn't feel at ease with the situation. So basically, somebody told me something that triggered that activity from my inner child, and I like the way you explained it. It's like I was afraid to let go, so I was hanging on like a little kid
fun.
to the 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 situation. So I didn't want to break. Somebody told me they didn't like something I was doing, and it triggered me into a point that it's like, oh man, it's like if I react to this situation, it's going to cause me to lose a friendship.
Right.
And in reality, it was just about me kind of just letting go and recognizing my own strength.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of stuff goes back to that parent attachment, especially in relationships, because that was your first relationship, really.
Yeah.
Um, you don't have to go all Freud about it and go sexual, but like, still, there's that relationship happening, and that was your first version. So if those relationships were chaotic, which they probably were, because most people were emotionally neglected as children. Not that our parents are bad, they just didn't know how to hold space for emotions like they do now. And
Yeah.
so we all have that trauma to work through.
Yeah, and it's funny because for me, the way I felt, I wonder if this mic is. Hold on, let me. There we go. I knew there was something wrong with my mic. Um, all right. So basically, for me, in this situation, I was doing something that the person felt a certain way about it, and then I was trying to accommodate that person's feelings, and it gave me all that trauma back in there. And when I actually looked at it, I was trying to take care of their feelings also and forgetting about my own feelings too. That's the other part about the inner child that I've at least been working through. It's like trying to take care of myself too, which is a very big part about this inner child work, I think. I don't know how you feel about that, Daniel.
Yeah. I mean, as children, many of us took care of our parents emotionally. And we
Yeah.
didn't, we might have been like the jester being like, oh, feel better. Um, and then we forgot about ourselves. So yeah, no, I definitely think, especially as empaths and healers, or who's listening to Awaken Men podcast, is probably someone that's gone through that, that's sensitive. I mean, it's easier to fix other people than look at ourselves. I've done it in my past. Like,
Yeah.
I think I was a therapist to not look at my own stuff. And I think that forces you to, but
Mhm.
also I knew I needed to take time off of being a coach or a therapist to look at myself for years. And
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting back into working with people because I'm doing my own work,
Mhm.
and looking at my own needs. Because if I can't do it for myself, then how can I do it for anyone else?
Yeah. And it's really interesting because out of the blue, it's like I couldn't, when I was reacting to it, I was so much into the situation that it took Daniel to kind of guide me through it. It's like, you know what I feel, and and luckily, I have uh, I have been working with Daniel, so we know how to work with each other, and he recognizes a lot of the things about me. That's where it happens. Where you also have to be yourself, or what people call being vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to allow ourselves to express whatever we're feeling. Even for me, it's like I didn't even know how to express some of it, so I just was trying to throw the words out there. And as Daniel was listening to it, he was just picking it up, and that helped. And then we had another person on there because it was like a men's coaching call that we were working through, and he jumped in with his recommendations or what he saw, and that community of men is very important. And the inner child, I think, especially with men, it seems to be really coming up a lot. The and the bond with men, it's like I think is something that has helped me because when I started this journey, it was very hard to find men that were very open about their emotions. And as we are moving through this age of enlightenment, is what I call it, is we're having to be that open and vulnerable person that we really are, so we can actually move through a lot of this. Because if we cover it up in machoism, or oh, I can't handle this, or I can handle this, and all, it'll never get fixed.
Yeah, and it leads to weird behavior. Like, men have been bizarre. I mean, think of maybe our dads, or and it's nothing against them. They had no emotional health. I mean, they were angry and drinking, and you see, like, I have to say everyone has daddy issues, which is kind of like, but it's because men weren't doing any emotional work
Yeah.
ever. Women at least were meeting and talking, and maybe in different ways than therapy, but they were at least meeting. Men weren't at all. I mean, they were going to the bar and drinking, but like there was no emotions.
Yeah.
And that's why men have I mean, I was thinking about this. Men had heart attacks, men dying, or like all these different things because,
Hmm.
yeah, they weren't doing that work. And I think for me, it's a pleasure to be a part of it. I'm
Hmm.
running it, but really I'm just a part of it because it's what the world needs. It's men and women coming together. And there's a different level of vulnerability when it's just men.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very different because especially for me, because I'm in Texas, and in Texas, it's very conservative. So some of this stuff is just starting to get here. It's here, but it's in little pockets here and there. And finding men that are allowing themselves to go through this, we're a few in there, and then we're busy with our daily lives. So it's we also have to find and make time, put ourselves as a priority, because that's the other part we forget about all of this. It's like we get so busy going to work, we get so busy doing work or taking this or doing that, that we forget to put that time for ourselves. And
But
that's very important.
yeah, I mean, taking time for the things that expand you and make you feel better. I mean, people are willing to take time to watch Netflix or, play video games, all these different things, and they're not wrong. I
Yeah.
just watched The Dark Crystal, so I can't like judge it. But I know when I do things that expand my soul, it's funny what people actually make time for. They're like,
Mhm.
I'll make time to go drinking at the bar, but I have no time to go do yoga. And I'm like, I just looked at your schedule. Like, you go to work and you go home. I get it. People are tired because they're working
Mhm.
jobs they hate, but the more you do those things, I mean, you grow as a person, which is really the best thing you can do for yourself and your family and all the people around you.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, that's one of the reasons when I do meditation, I do it as soon as I get up.
Mm.
I don't care how sleepy I am or tired. It's like, even if it's just 15 minutes or even 5 minutes, as long as I just sit there and kind of sit with my thoughts for a little bit. And then if it's only 5 minutes, maybe do 5 minutes a little bit later on or do something like that. But that time of taking care of ourselves, especially with us as men, we're really bad about it. It's like because we're so busy going around helping others, and like for me, I'm in the Mexican culture, so you know we're always trying to take care of the family in different ways. I mean, so that even culture plays a big part in that too. We just have to make ourselves a priority because if we forget that, then nobody else is going to take care of us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the pattern that I'm unraveling, because it's feeling emotions, like what is that men in general like choose money over themselves. So
Hmm.
I've like noticed these patterns in life when I'm tired and I go to work, or because I work for myself, I'm like, wow, I'm choosing
Yeah.
in these small ways, choosing like making money or being prosperous over myself. And like slowly I'm switching that. I'm
Hmm.
like, it's like, whoa, I feel so much better. And really, it's not. But so many men for so long have been like, I'm going to work this job I hate at the coal mine or whatever. And then, you know, for my family, which is not wrong. I think there's a time and place for that, like
Hmm.
in the 40s when there was no other options. But now there's other options. I don't have a family, so I have no excuse.
Yeah.
But
I don't
um,
either, except my kitties and my dog. So,
but even that's the excuse, you know. Then
yeah.
you're teaching your kids to do the same thing. And I noticed that pattern in my family. Like there's this stability in a job, and I'd unravel that. It's almost like I'm fighting against that whole family lineage of that thing. And I'm like, but because it's interesting when you watch people that their family follow their dreams, the
Yeah.
kids do it too. It's
Yep.
weird that you see professional football players and their kids become professionals. You're almost like that happens too often to not be, and you could say genetics and things like that, but also I think it's because they saw it was possible.
Hmm.
So we have to switch that within us so our kids can do that. Um, but also, yeah, I think that's as men, there's some self-worth with taking care of other people, right? If I can take care of
Hmm.
other people, then I have self-worth,
Well, and
which
I
is
think
backwards.
I think that's that part of the. I think that is kind of like the old, and I'm not talking like old as in a few years. I'm talking like the genetic part of us, always being the protector. You know,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, our genetics are in there. It's like, oh, we got to take care of this. It's like we'll take care of that, and you know, we've, and in my perception, back then in the cavemen, it's like when they were being the protectors, I mean, they would also have to sacrifice themselves to protect their families and, you know, for food. So I'm sure somewhere in our DNA, we have that embedded on us that makes it sometimes a little bit challenging.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong per se. I mean, to be responsible, but also we're not being attacked by lions. Like
Right.
people
That's
are
what I mean.
acting like they're going to be attacked by lions. Like I've been called to like slowly phase out or fast, like doing the delivery driving stuff, and I'm scared like I'm going to die. Like my reacting was like, I
Mhm.
don't pay this bill for a month, I'm going to die. And I'm like, wait, I'm not being attacked by a lion. I can always go back. It's like this funny feeling that's in my system, like the world's going to end, but I feel more free. So there's this other side of me being like, oh, I'm excited to see what happens. Um, but that's what the meditation does. You know, it allows you, the more time you spend with yourself and the more you care for yourself, the more courageous decisions you can make.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And the power, you know, if we allow ourselves to be ourselves, to allow our inner person to come out and talk about our truth and beliefs, it's like that strength starts to really show up. It's like you know, as we were doing this inner work child with Daniel, it's like it really showed me afterwards. You know, I saw the strength of who I am, and that's something that I hadn't seen before at this capacity. I've seen parts of it, but as it moved through, it's like, wow, it's like there I am again. It's like, oh wow, that, and then you start seeing I started seeing my power in a whole different way that I had never seen. And wow, it's like day and night. It feels very different when I speak up now. It feels very different as I talk. And for those that are curious, for the men out there, it's like we have a coaching call uh, that Daniel has set up, and we have a group there. So if anybody's interested, just let us know. You can either find me on Mario Rosales on Facebook, or you can comment on YouTube, and we can get in touch with you, and we can get you all the information for that.
Yeah, no, you're making me tear up a little bit. Yeah. I mean, running a men's group has been my dream. I mean, I created it at a Kyle Cease event like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It came through, and I was like, wow, that's not what I thought I wanted to do. Like, it kind of was, but it wasn't like, and I was like, okay, let's do that. And now it's happening. So, and it's helping, which is what matters. It helps me too. Like, which is interesting. I'm always teaching what I need to teach. We just wanted to create the group that I wanted.
Yeah, it's always a two-way street, no matter what. And that's the thing I've learned. It's like, it's always a two-way street. It's never one-sided. If you're in the coaching call, it's like, it's never, if the coach is open, no matter if it's Daniel, myself, or anybody else, if the coach is open to it, it's beautiful. If the coach is allowing themselves to go and be vulnerable with themselves there too. Because what happens, I've seen so many coaching groups, especially in men's group, where the coach tries to be the more dominant person. And it's like, oh, it's like, this is the way it's going to happen, and that's the way. And to me, that type of structure is okay at the very beginning. But as we progress through our awakening, I feel a more, the only word that comes to it is flowy, a very, very open group where everybody can talk about what they're feeling, what their day was. And that is a very powerful event, which is where we're at with this coaching work here, with this coaching group.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want all the response. I mean, not that I'm doing the work with people.
Yeah.
I mean, I want the responsibility, but like, it's not that I'm want to be a guru or anything, or I think everyone has the answers, and sometimes it's not me. Like, if that's the great thing about a group over individual, it doesn't have to be me, and someone else might have it, and it's not like, oh, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, then their power comes out, and they're helping this person, and it becomes a community.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to have the answers for everyone, because that's not. I guess it's good I had therapy training, because that's a therapy side. We don't have the answers, which the best coaches do the same thing too.
And what's really funny, we all have our answers. It's a matter of, can we find them ourselves, or sometimes we just need a guide, and that's one of the things that I've learned. It's like, just having that guide kind of helps. Even if it's just mentioning, like with Daniel, he just mentioned, I can see this child holding on to the leg, and that kind of just right there took me somewhere else. But once again, I had to be open to that. I had to be accepting to that. If I had said, oh, that's ridiculous, Daniel, then I would have just kept the block there. That's why when we talk about vulnerability, it's like, that's what we're talking about, being able to recognize some of the things and allowing ourselves to feel that feeling. Because as men, feeling that feeling is like, oh man, no, we can't do that. It's like, we're men.
Right. Yeah. No, that's how we're going to heal as a society. Because if neglect was the most common abuse, right? It went from your dad hit you and yelled at you to, okay, I'm there, I'm not hitting you, but I'm not really going to be there emotionally. Like, you're going to cry and I'm going to tell you to suck it up, or you're going to cry and I'm not going to let you feel those feelings, right? Which is the best they could do. But then we have for ourselves have to be that parent that allows us to feel that feeling. So for me, like lately, like, I have a child screaming in me and crying, and I'm just letting it yell, and it's yelling, and I'm just listening, because and that's really hard, because I was a child that threw tantrums really loud. So for someone that isn't emotional, I'd be a hard kid to hold space for. So, and not like, but I can do it for myself because I have those skills. So I've been doing that in a deep way, and then just allowing that to happen. And I think the law of attraction teachings are kind of messing up inner child healing for people, because they think if they like have these feelings in their systems, then they're gonna like attract a Acme freaking thing on their head. But those emotions are in you anyway, so like it's not like you can not be honest. So the new paradigm to me is just being honest about what you're feeling, which will help you attract better things, because at least you're being honest. Not this, I think there's a point where you have to pretend to be positive, and I did it, but we're moving into being honest about what you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean that's the only way to be, in my opinion. That I've learned that my relationships, my friendships, my anything, even to a stranger, it's like it helps just being like that, because there's no mystery, there's no need to worry about that. Oh, what am I going to say? Am I saying something wrong? If it feels right, then just, I mean, we have to allow those emotions to come through. And there's political correctness, but political correctness also has got us into where we're at now.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, don't be a dick. Don't be honest like that. I think that's, there's still the grandma thing. If we don't, they have nice to say, don't say anything at all, which basically means like as vulnerable people, we should be talking about ourselves anyways. Oh, I'm having this experience of feeling, scared or angry, when you do that.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. I'm feeling this. Like, we can have empathetic communication, but also being honest.
Honest and compassionate, I think, is the way to say it. So if you do compassionately, then you're at least trying to be, I guess, diplomat. No, not diplomatic, because that's very neutral. You're trying to speak from the heart, and when you speak from the heart, it really comes through very differently than if you speak from the ego or whatever. That's what's interesting about this, and what it is. How you say it or how I say it is very different. The way I would say something is not the same way Daniel will say it, or anybody in our audience. So if anybody tells you, oh, this is the way you're supposed to say it, it's like if it works for you, it works for you. But try to find what your words are, because your words are going to be the more powerful ones. My words are powerful in my conversations because they're mine. I can't use Daniel's words. If not, they wouldn't be me. So that wouldn't be as powerful, because I wouldn't have the same passion for it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's talking from our heart. I mean, that's when our true selves pour through. And that's kind of cliche, talking from the heart. But I mean, it just means, speaking from that deeper place. And the more you practice, and also not having so much of a plan of what you're going to say, also makes you speak from the heart. Because if you ever seen those speeches, I always look at the guys in the movie that throws away the speech and then speak from their heart. That's kind of, how I've lived my life, but I've been improvising all these things for a long time. Because, I mean, I want everyone to be living from their hearts. I mean, that is my mission. Like, I want myself first, and then teach people to live from their hearts.
Yeah.
Whatever that means for them. That could be being an accountant, for a nonprofit or something that makes you feel good, or company. I don't know. But
and in practice with a good friend, I mean, that's the way I would do it. I've practiced when I do talking. It's like sometimes I go overboard, but if it's a good friend that you guys have a good relationship with, it's like I have a lot of those right now, and unfortunately, now with this group also, it's helping me have that too. Allowing ourselves to go to that extreme. It's like, that was a little too much. Let me bring it back down. I always start my conversation with somebody new. I go, look, it's like, I'm very honest. It's like, then if you see something that is upsetting you that I'm doing, please feel free to speak up, and you won't hurt my feelings, and we'll move through that. Because that's the type of communication I want, no matter who I'm with.
Right. Yeah, it's a good way to eliminate people too.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, because there's some people that'll be very intimidated by something like that.
Yeah, like, oh no, I wanted to talk about the ball game or whatever. Well, I used to be that person. It's like I used to go to the bars and do that. But yeah, I think that's where we're coming to. I mean, heart-centered communication and being vulnerable is the way the world has to go.
Yeah.
And it's people are going to be feeling so many emotions. They're going to have to. I know
Hmm.
I've been feeling them this couple weeks, and I feel like it's not going to stop. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you're ignoring them, it's just going to bubble up worse and worse and worse. It's just great. I mean, that's kind of what happens to anyone, but I think it's just the energy's moving faster.
Yeah. I mean, and what's incredible, the bonds and friendship are becoming even tighter. I mean, and that's what's so amazing. As the more we speak from the heart, the more our society starts speaking from our heart. It's incredible what kind of bond. There's going to be some hurts at the beginning, but as we move through our stuff, it's more healing. I don't know. It's the way I think. It's like I think it should all just be out there, and as we move through it, it's like, oh, we're now tackling this. Oh, we're now tackling that, rather than have it behind in my back of my mind and going, oh, I should have really said this. Oh, I should have really said that. And you're talking to somebody that used to be very quiet.
Right. Yeah, me too. No one would believe me. Now it's like the opposite. I'm like a fire hose, but I used to be like the quiet, shy kid. I wouldn't want to say anything. Now I'm doing the opposite, and I'm like, oh, I talk a lot. Okay, that's good. But again, that's being yourself, right? Like, how
Yeah.
else am I going to be a coach that talks on podcasts about not good at talking? Like, that's just I need an outlet for it. But that's what it comes down to, like being honest and vulnerable and loving ourselves and being like, so I was with someone and I was like, hey, am I talking a lot? She's like, yeah, too much. I'm like, okay. But I just said what was on my mind, right?
Right.
So then I got the feedback and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I've been working on that, right? I'm like, I had this interesting thing where I can meditate for 6 hours, but it's hard for me to be quiet around someone else. I was like, weird. That's more uncomfortable. It's bizarre. And I was like, huh. And then I worked on that. And then it's just, the more honest and vulnerable we are, the actually better feedback we can get. And it
Yeah.
actually helps the other person because then they're like, oh, at least they're, doing this thing.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that's a good place to kind of end it right there. Be vulnerable because all that feedback helps. It really does help in shaping who we become, and we can take what we want and leave the rest
Right.
and go from there. And
Perfect.
once again, Daniel, thank you so much. If you want to leave a last thought here, or if you just want to finish it, I'm okay with that too.
Um, yeah, just feel your emotions.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And just be there. Don't change it. Don't fix it. Just like let them sit. Because that's the magic is on the other side.
Hmm.
Everything you want is on the other side of that inner child. And until you feel it, it's not going to happen.
And it's amazing.
Yep.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, audience.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe if you guys want to get into this group chat. Leave us a comment on Facebook, or leave us a comment on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
We need more subscribers, so please subscribe so we can actually get our own personalized URL, because right now it's one of those big long ones. So just keep on subscribing and let us know what you would like to hear. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Love you all.
Love y'all.